Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Fraser Crawford coming to you live from San Francisco, California. Where is Tim Gunn? Oh dear God. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Gunn is in Texas. I don't know if we'll ever get him back. Until then, his hat and sunglasses shall be retired and I will take on the role of head newscaster. Now, in my last episode, I talked about a terrible camp I went to at Wofford University, South Carolina. It was called Shared Worlds, and Tim Gunn promised you there'd be more elaboration on it. Well, Tim Gunn's gone now, so I'm going to have to elaborate for him. I am a writer by trade, and so what do I do with my summers? I spend them at writing camps. Oh yeah, they exist. Let me tell you. There was problems with this camp, though, and one of the multifarious problems was that it was peopled with those who were fan fiction writers. Now, as a rule, I don't have a problem with fan fiction. I don't write it myself, but I think it's fine. The problem is the type of fan fiction that these girls were committing to. And yes, it was all girls. Not a single guy was writing the stuff. Why? I don't know. Not sexist, just the truth. The type of fan fiction they were writing was the kind that is laid out solely to exploit the romantic involvement between characters that didn't actually happen, but they feel like should happen for some reason. You know the type I'm talking about. You get on Scrib or Reddit and you come across Thalia and Percy Jackson making out on top of the dead body of a Titan in Elysium for some reason. This is quite simply the basest form of writing out there, wherein you exploit characters simply so they can hook up with each other. I mean, to actually call it writing is to do a gross injustice to the literary community. Fanfiction itself is wonderful. It's a way to pay homage to your favorite authors by saying, I like your characters and your world so much that I would like to use it for myself to look at other things. And in another sense, it's a great way to hone your literary skills for people that are just starting out in the 7th and 8th grade. They read Harry Potter or Percy Jackson and they think, man, that was amazing. I wonder what else could have happened. And the wonderful thing is, you already have predetermined character traits and settings. And let me tell you from experience, those are the hardest things to create as an author. Since those are out of the way, all you have to do is use them and come up with your own story, which is the best part of writing in the first place. So imagine, you finish Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and you think, that was a really good series, but what about the points that J.K. Rowling left open for speculation? Think about some of the things Voldemort could have done while he was forming the Horcruxes before he became the Dark Lord. Think about the magic system that might have gone on elsewhere in Europe. Didn't Hagrid go visit some giants with Madame Maxine in France? What about things like that? These are the kind of questions that fanfiction can answer, and it's wonderful to see what people come up with their own imagination. However, with the advent of the internet and things like Scrib and Reddit and Tumblr and all that stuff that I don't deal with, fanfiction has basically turned into rap music in the fact that it's senseless and it deals with sex all the time. Suddenly it was possible not for you to just fantasize about Harry Potter and Cho Chang, not just to write about it, but to put it out there for other equally perverted people to read about it as well. Let me put this as simply as possible. Fanfiction is not about your favorite characters hooking up! Series like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, Fablehaven, and Inheritance were never about the sex in the first place. They're about the magic, the mystery, the majesty. They inspired the young minds for generations. Look at Quidditch. J.K. Rowling invented an entire sport, and that's what's wonderful about fanfiction is you can run with things like that. That is the point of fanfiction, not to hook Ron and Ginny up. Ugh, dude, no, that's wrong on an entirely different level. Not to hook Harry and Luna Lovegood up. Character traits are predetermined for a reason, and it's fine if you want to take some creative license, but creating relationships, romantic or sexual, where they didn't exist before is overstepping a sacred boundary. Of course, modern authors today are looking at that sacred boundary and going, pfft, rules, watch me do this. I am speaking, of course, of books like this, which, as we all know, was originally Twilight fan fiction. Isn't it just wonderful? An entire book based off sex. How wonderfully American. Let's get back to the original sinner, though. Twilight. Why don't I have a copy of the book here? Because I refuse to touch the thing. I can still remember when Twilight came out and the sensation it caused. I also remember when Kesha hit it big. And both series are identical in the way that the stupider they get, the higher their sales go. I can't explain that phenomenon because I don't have a sociology degree. I just observe. Explain to me why this is something that girls the world over have fallen in love with. All you have is your main character, and there definitely are quotes around the word character, setting the feminist movement back by doing absolutely nothing except moping in her room and hanging out with her sparkly boyfriend and his doctor father, who decide that the best thing they can do with their immortality is make tons of money and go to high school over and over again. They are living the American dream. Disregarding all that, Stephanie Meyer's created an even bigger sin in her record by making a terrible fan fiction about vampires. Seriously, how do you take blood-sucking monsters that live in dark castles somewhere in the Slavic region that prey on young men and virgins and somehow come up with no, Bram Stoker, that's so 18th century. What you need right now is you need some Volvo driving sparkle machine. Honestly, that's like somebody looked at zombies and said, you know what would make these guys cool if it turns out they were just misunderstood creatures that could actually be cured with love. Wait a second. Now, I am legally required to give one positive book review during this video, so I'll leave you with this. Sex can be in books. Sometimes it's even necessary to advance plot points. However, when your entire character chart involves relationship, drama, conflict, resolution, you're not doing your job right. Which is why when I originally read Looking for Alaska, I thought, man, this is a great book. It's original, it's well written, it's funny. It almost made me cry when Alaska... no spoilers, just cut that out. But then looking back on it when I was no longer a freshman, I realized, yeah, it's good, but take away the relationship factor of it, and that's about 40% of the book, so at best you're left with a D grade. A D grade won't get you into college. What is life without college, am I right? Now, a friend of mine that owns a publishing house in Connecticut sent me this, an advanced copy of The Carnival of Bray by Jessie Ann Foley. The heroine in this coming-of-age story is also a female, but unlike Bella Swan, her problems are actually real. Her mother is flighty, falls in love very easily, and uproots her entire family from downtown Chicago to move them to Bray, Ireland, which is just outside of Dublin. Obviously a very significant change of pace. The boy does come along in this, but he only pops up for a couple of chapters, he goes away, he comes back like people do in real life. She's a loner too, but she does actually have friends she interacts with, unlike in Twilight, because we all know that no matter who you are, you at least have one or two friends. Her mother is also a bit of a drunkard, so is her new stepdad, and her only real close friend is her uncle, who's a huge Nirvana fan and also a major druggie. When the mutual feelings are realized between the main character and her male love interest, it's just as awkward as it is in real life. They do things they do in real life, unlike sit in the room all day and try to compare themselves to Romeo and Juliet. Eventually, the mother has to uproot the family again and move them back to their apartment in Chicago, breaking her off from her relationship, as happens in real life, because not everything works out. However, this book is heartbreakingly beautiful, and if it's hit stores by now, I would recommend anyone to buy it. Well, that's about all the time we have for today. I'll see you next time, and meanwhile, keep calm and... No, I will not pander to contemporary trends like that. No, I'm going to change to something else. I got it. Live long and prosper.